Right, so Facebook has replied to the notice by the Indian government. According to sources, the social network giant has assured New Delhi that it has taken a lot of steps to tackle data theft. They have also listed out the corrective measures taken by them, which includes deleting fake accounts and authorizing specific entities to put out political ads. All right, joining me for more on this story is my colleague Archana Solanki from the WION newsroom. Good evening, Archana. Take us through the details of this breaking news.
Good evening, Ramesh. It's a significant development that's coming out of New Delhi. Facebook has replied to the Indian government's notice. Remember, the first notice that the Indian government has sent was on 23rd March, and it wasn't satisfied with Facebook's reply. And then, because it thought that it was evasive and cryptic, in the month of April, that is last month, the Indian government sent another notice to Facebook. And in its second reply, Facebook has assured New Delhi that it has taken measures to ensure that the user data is not breached. It says that it reiterated that data shared with the users is with user consent only, and the data that it shares with app developers and other platforms is only shared with the user's consent. Facebook has also said that it's changed its terms and platform policy, and it applies to everyone around the world. Facebook has also said that it's taken several steps initiating to address and prevent potential misuse. That includes informing people on their data misuse and how to take measures to prevent or restrict certain apps. Facebook also said that only authorized entities or advertisers are permitted to place political ads. Remember, this particular aspect was the main reason why this entire controversy broke out in the first place. Now, Facebook has assured that now it's brought in several measures that will restrict app users, and only authorized users will be able to place political ads. Another significant piece of information that is in this particular reply is that Facebook has feigned ignorance, or Facebook has tried to douse that fire by saying that it doesn't know how the third-party app processes sensitive personal data. Remember, when this Cambridge Analytica controversy broke out, the very reason why this controversy broke out was that it was accused of mining personal data of millions of Facebook users to influence elections in several countries. Now, in this particular reply, Facebook has clarified that it has no idea how sensitive information was being accessed by third-party app processors, which is also in reference to Alexander Kogan, that particular app developer, that person, Alexander Kogan, who had developed that app, which in turn mined personal data of many Facebook users. And Facebook has said that they have suspended all kind of services and agreements and engagements with Alexander Kogan.
Right, on that note, Archana, thank you so much for joining me with all that latest update. And next, we get you all the news from Nepal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Nepal, was given a ceremonial welcome in Kathmandu. This is his third visit to the country since he came to power. The two leaders will be holding a bilateral summit, which will be followed by a joint press conference. They will also be remotely inaugurating the Arun 3 hydropower project. Now, Prime Minister Modi arrived in Nepal's Janakpur this morning, kicking off a two-day visit to the Himalayan Republic at the invitation of Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli. Modi visited the Janaki temple accompanied by Oli, where they offered special prayers. In a joint address, the two Prime Ministers announced the much-anticipated bus service from Janakpur to Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram, which has considerable political significance for the BJP. Now, Nepal will be linked with Lord Ram's birthplace Ayodhya in India, thereby completing the Ramayana circuit. Janakpur is a key pilgrimage site in Nepal. It holds a religious significance because it is regarded as the birthplace of Hindu goddess Sita.
आज जनकपुर अयोध्या सीधी बस सेवा का प्रारंभ हो रहा है। मैं इसके लिए भी आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का, प्रशासन का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और भविष्य में आर्थिक विकास के लिए, हमारे सांस्कृतिक संबंधों को और ताकत देने के लिए, हमारे पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट के लिए ये एक नई धरोहर के रूप में आगे रास्ता प्रशस्त करेंगे।
Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also received a civic reception in Janakpur. He emphasized on how India's history is incomplete without Nepal and the importance of women empowerment.
ये वो धरती है जिसने दिखाया कि बेटी को किस प्रकार सम्मान दिया जाता है। बेटियों के सम्मान की ये सीख आज की सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है। साथियों, नारी शक्ति की हमारे इतिहास और परंपराओं को संजोने में भी एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। अब जैसे यहां की मिथिला पेंटिंग्स को अगर उसको देखें तो इस परंपरा को आगे बढ़ाने में सबसे अधिक योगदान हमारी माताओं, बहनों का, महिलाओं का रहा है।
Earlier, Modi had landed at the Janakpur airport where he was given a red carpet welcome. Right, joining me live from Kathmandu is my colleague Siddhant Sibal. Good evening, Siddhant. How's day one shaping up like where you are?
Well, day one is almost over, but the big event, the press statements will happen at around 7:30 local time. I'm standing in front of that place, Dwarika Hotel, where the bilateral is currently on, and after that the press statements will take place. There will be, of course, a media briefing, but so far day one is all about faith diplomacy. We saw that in Janakpur, the Indian Prime Minister had two events and all were about faith. He, along with the Prime Minister of Nepal, jointly flagged off that bus service connecting the two cities, Janakpur and Ayodhya, important historic cities and also the birthplace of Goddess Sita, Janakpur and Lord Ram for Ayodhya. Symbolic because these two places are not only connecting two cities but they're connecting two countries, especially on the basis of faith. That was the focus of the Indian Prime Minister. During his address to the people of Nepal at that civic reception, he focused on the common connect, especially on religion, Hinduism being the common link from Kathmandu to Kanyakumari. He said India is not complete without Nepal, primarily because Nepal has all the Char Dhams. It has one of the dhams but becomes part of the Char Dham. He will be now visiting Pashupatinath tomorrow in Kathmandu where I am standing. But Kathmandu is also about diplomacy, and diplomacy means focus on things like infrastructure, connectivity. On connectivity front, both the leaders are expected to announce a railway line linking Kathmandu with rest of the Indian railways and an inland waterways on the river Kosi that flows to the Indian state of Bihar. Those are the important things on connectivity. On infrastructure, as you already have mentioned, on Arun 3 project, the largest infrastructure project of Nepal will be jointly through video conference, will be inaugurated shortly from the place where I am standing. Behind me is the place where both the Prime Ministers are right now and discussing various issues. But the long shadow of China will remain because the growing closeness between Kathmandu and Beijing does perturbs New Delhi.
Right, on that note, Siddhant Sibal, thank you so much for joining me on WION Dispatch. Appreciate it. Right, moving on. Finally, the location for the Kim-Trump meeting has been finalized. No, it will not happen in Mongolia or the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. Singapore has been picked for the historic summit between the two leaders. The White House has confirmed that the U.S. will continue to push for permanent denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The city-state of Singapore is diplomatically neutral, highly secure, and well-practiced at pulling off sensitive events. In fact, the first meeting between China and Taiwan took place in Singapore. Also, it has tight restrictions over media and public gatherings, which will allow for a controlled environment likely to be preferred by the North Koreans. Also, Singapore is in the rare position of having friendly diplomatic ties with both Washington and Pyongyang. Now, Shangri-La Hotel, which hosts the annual high-level Shangri-La Security Dialogue, will be the likely venue for the summit. Right, so that's the other story we're tracking here on WION Dispatch, that Singapore shall be the venue of the much-anticipated summit meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un on the 12th of next month. This will be the first time any sitting U.S. president will be meeting a North Korean leader. Right, joining me from the WION newsroom shall be WION's senior editor Surya Gangadharan, who will give us all the latest on why Singapore was chosen as the venue for the summit. All right, I'm told Surya is with us. Surya, take us through the reasons why Singapore was chosen for the summit meeting between Trump and Kim.
Well, we don't have too many details about why Singapore was chosen, but clearly Trump didn't want to travel to the demilitarized zone and obviously keen on going to somewhere in Europe. And I believe even Kim Jong-un was not keen on traveling too far. In that sense, Singapore was a kind of a compromise. It's small, it's very disciplined kind of setup. They are security, the North Koreans especially are very security conscious, and they had more confidence in the kind of setup that Singapore runs than perhaps anywhere else. So these were among some of the reasons I'm given to understand why Singapore was chosen.
Also, what should we expect from the summit meeting, Surya, when the two leaders eventually meet in Singapore? What might be on the table for the two leaders?
Well, I think it's a million-dollar question, really. This is going to be more, I would believe, of a getting to know each other kind of meeting, you know, to understand each other, figure out what their thinking is, what either means by the term denuclearization. I don't believe there's going to be any great agreements reached in the very first meeting. There may be many more such meetings at the official level again, and perhaps you never know, again another meeting between Trump and Kim. So in that sense, I think this is going to be getting to know you meeting, understand each other, understand each other's thinking, explore various issues, and perhaps come away with a sense that they have confidence in each other.
Right, on that note, Surya, thank you so much for joining me on WION Dispatch. Right, moving on, Himanshu Roy, a senior Mumbai police officer involved in many high-profile investigations, has allegedly committed suicide at his home. Roy was a former chief of the anti-terror squad of Maharashtra and was currently serving as an additional Director General of Police in the state. The 1988 batch IPS officer allegedly shot himself using his service revolver at his home in Mumbai around 1:40 p.m. He was brought dead to hospital. The 54-year-old was believed to be battling cancer and had gone on long leave on medical grounds. A charismatic officer, Himanshu Roy, led investigations into several big cases, including the 2013 Indian Premier League spot fixing, the murder of Pallavi Purkayastha, and the J-Day murder. While he was heading the anti-terror squad, he arrested software engineer Anees Ansari for allegedly planning to blow up the American school. All right, joining me live from Mumbai is my colleague Pragya Jha. Good evening, Pragya. Take us through the reasons why Himanshu Roy might have committed suicide.
That's right, Ramesh. This is absolutely a big setback for Mumbai police, for Maharashtra police, in fact. And what we've learned just now, a few minutes back, is that Mumbai police has recovered a suicide note from inside the residence, from the very room where Himanshu Roy committed suicide by shooting himself. That is, he placed the service revolver inside his mouth and he pulled the trigger. And there in the suicide note, he's mentioned that the reason for him taking this adverse step is his health condition, is his deteriorating health condition, and that nobody should be blamed for his death, nobody should be blamed for his demise. And now finding out the reasons, it of course is related to his health, because even the officers, his contemporaries did mention that he was ailing for quite some time. He had in fact even been to the United States to receive treatment for a bone marrow cancer that he was battling for over 2 years. He had been on extensive leave, and in the last reshuffle of the top deck of the Maharashtra Police, he was then posted as the Additional Director General of Police Housing in the DG office here, and he was on a leave, and then he was recuperating. However, we must tell you that Himanshu Roy, the late Himanshu Roy, one of the fittest police officials, one of the fittest top cops in the city. In fact, he was somebody who would give inspirational, talks about fitness, and he would really go out and speak very approachable. A person, even journalists like myself, would feel very comfortable speaking to him for various stories, and he was always at the helm of the most important crime cases. He's even had his stint as the chief of the anti-terrorism squad here in Maharashtra, and during that, as we mentioned, that he did foil Anis Ibrahim, an engineer here who had planned to blow up the American school in Bandra area in Mumbai.
Right, on that note, Pragya Jha in Mumbai, thank you so much for joining me with all the latest from Mumbai. Right, now to the next story here on WION Dispatch. A small message is spreading around iPhones and forcing them to break. Yes, you heard it right. Users world over are receiving what experts call a malware from persons in their contact list. Now, the message that somewhat looks like this pops up suddenly while you are chatting with a person. Experts have called this text as the black spot of death. Why so? Because the moment you open this message, the screen freezes. First, it was found to be in the Android applications, but now even Apple's iOS is also encountering the same issue. All right, my colleague Aisha Sindhu joins us live from the newsroom to show us what exactly is this black dot of death. Aisha, is this just the WhatsApp that is being bugged, or are there other applications that are being affected by this so-called black dot?
Well, a black dot of death does sound very dangerous, but with so many of us living our lives on our phones, it really is, let's say, a message of death for people who spend a lot of transactional time on their phones. I'll answer that question in a bit, but first let me explain to you what really happens to start with. You get a message on your phone. It'll say something that is tempting you to almost touch the black dot on your screen. So the challenge is in the message itself. It'll tempt you to tap on the black dot. And the funny thing here is it's ironic almost, because what happens next is already explained to you in the message. It says your phone is going to crash, that the WhatsApp application service is going to go down. And so when you do that, you touch the dot, you fall for the temptation. 3 messages come up on your screen, 3 options, so to speak. They ask you whether you want to wait, whether you want to send feedback, or whether you want to close the app. But the problem here is that no matter what you do, the phone screen has already frozen. So you can try tapping as much as you'd like to, but nothing happens. Your phone has frozen at this point. You asked me if it affects any of the other apps on your phone. So what I did was I copied this message and I put it into Google Chrome to see what happens. I immediately got an error. It took me to a 413 error page on my phone. Additionally, when I copy-pasted it on a WordPad application, a series of strange messages with strange characters started showing up. So all in all, Ramesh, it does seem like it is, causing your phone to sort of freeze over, if you will.
Aisha, that looks very serious to me and a bit nagging too. So how do we get rid of it? Say I'm using an iOS application device.
Right, so you'd be among many people who use iOS applications, and so we've done a quick check on how exactly this affects iOS users as well. So there is a solution, interestingly enough, when it comes to iOS, but it's a bit circuitous. It takes a little bit of time. First of all, you have to reach out to none other than Siri. You're going to have to call out to Siri on your phone and try and get Siri to solve the problem for you. You have to force close messages, ask Siri to send a message to the person who sent you the black dot of death to start with. The interesting thing is Siri is going to send an iMessage. So basically, the WhatsApp message stops being the first message on your phone, which gives you the opportunity to go back inside your phone. It's no longer the most recent message. You go there and you delete the conversation. Sounds simple enough if you look at it, but the problem, there is a catch, Ramesh. If you're having a conversation with your boss, let's say about your appraisal, you can forget about it because the data is going to get wiped out. So make sure that your boss, first of all, isn't sending you those kinds of messages, and if they do, I'm sorry, that appraisal is down the tube.
Right, on that note, Aisha, thank you so much for joining me with all that latest on this story.